Now. Okay, I think it's working. Anyway, okay, so this is a video. I'm going to try to keep it shorter than the last ones, and I guess I'm going to try to host it, because apparently people wanted me to host it. So, I don't know. People enjoy seeing top laners talk, so that's kind of what I've fallen into here. So, first up, I guess I'm going to go right to the Foggs thing. For those of you who don't know, on the PBE, they've got a whole bunch of changes to basically just centered around Resolve, but right now if you go Resolve, you get 130 health. If you go Precision, you get 18% attack speed. They're changing it to if you go either Resolve or Precision, and then you go into the other ones. If you go Resolve Precision or Precision Resolve, you get 65 health and 9% attack speed. And then it's like that for all the other ones as well, so long as you're going with Resolve. And I guess Fogg can just tell you why that sucks.
Well, for Tryndamere, health is completely worthless, and that's probably true. Like, I'm not sure if like ADCs or anyone else takes Precision plus Resolve just for the Iron Skin or the Mirror Shell. Like, against the tough matchups, I'd take Iron Skin versus Jace with Second Wind. The 65 health is kind of useless on someone like Tryndamere. I'd much rather have the 9% attack speed, so that's like an indirect nerf to Tryndamere, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thought. I thought it was only going to be if you went Resolve, then into another tree, it would split it. But when you go Precision and then you go Resolve, and what are you doing that for? You're going Second Wind and maybe some Resistances, right?
Yeah.
And then you're trading off 9% of your attack speed. So what is the only way to get 18% attack speed is to go into like one of the other trees that aren't Resolved. So you're basically cutting Resolve off from Oh, okay, so let me introduce everyone. Down there is Weeknd. He's a Challenger Camille main, apparently. Down there is Fogged. He's a Challenger Tryndamere main. And over there is... What was your name?
Lyroc.
Lyroc. That he used to be E-Thug, now he's Lyroc. And he's a jungler or something.
One love, guys. Stay hunkered.
Yeah, so do you have anything about that? I mean, I guess for Weeknd, I mean, do you go Precision Resolve on any bruiser now?
Well, since I'm a Camille main, when the patches first rolled out for preseason, I tried out PTA. It's complete dog shit on Camille, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know Camille has been running Arcane Comet nowadays. Just really strong in lane with a lot of poke. And just having flat AD just helps you out so much more than having attack speed, at least on Camille, I feel. These changes from PB don't look too bad for her, because I do go Resolve secondary against like really tough lanes like Pantheon or like Jace or something like that. And having like a little bit of extra health is like, I guess is fine. But I can definitely see why it might not be good on Tryndamere, where like health doesn't really help at all. But I think they're doing this because a lot of people are like complaining about, like, if you take Resolve, you just have flat health and you can't have any AD whatsoever. So I think these changes are okay, but it's definitely gonna hurt champions like Tryndamere for sure.
Yeah, my concern isn't going Resolve first, then into a second tree. My concern is going Precision, then into Resolve. Because especially, like, if you're playing Jax, you often you want Second Wind or Unflinching, just to not get kited. Then you want, typically, Conditioning or something, so you get that, your ults start, giving you a gajillion resistances. But you really want the 18% attack speed, then you want the 3% from Alacrity, so you got the early game damage. Losing 9% attack speed, I mean, because often, what is health useful for if you don't scale health? It's only useful if you died, right? And on Jax, you don't really intend to die, so then that last 65 health isn't the greatest. I mean,
I think they would have been fine having it so that if you go Resolve primary and then Sorcery or Domination secondary, then you get like a little bit AD, but definitely seems a little weird. If you take Resolve secondary, you get health. So that seems a little unnecessary. Yeah,
because especially, I don't know, like, I feel like let's say you're fighting Nasus, right? You want to go and flinch and get the slow resistant tenacity, something like that. But then you go, like say you're playing Olaf or Camille, you want the flat damage to wipe out Nasus, but then that's basically taking away your ability to go Resolve second, because you're trying to poke a dude out and losing, what, it's 7 damage you're losing?
Yeah.
9? It's a lot of damage you're losing for the early game.
Amount. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go resolve secondary if I am playing a lane where I need to have kill pressure.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah,
For me, I'd probably go like domination, try to get some healing from like Ravenous Hunter, and maybe take Zombie Ward just for extra vision. If I was against something like a Nasus, but I definitely couldn't take Resolve in that match. Like I would need to punish Nasus really early before he. By the way, Nasus really stupid with the Ancient Coin against just like people with full physical damage. The Ancient Coin to start with going into I think it's like Inspiration Resolve Klepto. I think that's stupid that he could just like stack that much gold.
How do you feel about like sorcery secondary on Tryndamere with like Celerity and
Scorch.
Scorch?
Yeah, I'm just imagining myself against like Jace or Teemo
Yeah.
without Iron Skin second wind or Mirror Shell in second wind. And it's not a good time.
You know, I really want a quick touch on Scorch. I think Scorch should actually just be removed and remade into something else. I know they're nerfing it on the PBE, but right now, I feel like runes, there's a lot of runes that are meant to be like tricky or kind of like emphasize something weird, but Scorch right now is basically you do more damage in the laning phase. And it's really hard to argue against do more damage in the laning phase.
Yeah. It's hard to not take any. It's hard to take anything else on Camille when you run Scorch and Comet and you W summon level 1 and you do like 150 damage.
Yeah,
like,
that's.
Why would I run anything else? Why run PTA when I do 150 damage with one spell level 1?
Yeah, it's. I know they're nerfing it, but even at 20 damage level 1, it's like, do you want to have, you know, some late game scaling, or do you just want to, like, I feel like it's not just Scorch. There's a lot of runes where I feel it's really, do you want to win now, or do you want to scale better later? And in 90% of situations, you're going to say, well, I'm going to win now.
It feels a little lazy in terms of like design. Like it's just like very, oh, well, you just get like some free damage and like phase.
Yeah, it's when they first revealed runes and they had stuff like Futures Market in there. I was like, oh, okay, so the runes are going to be very unique and interesting. And for a lot of them, they're really phoned in. Like Legend Alacrity, Scorch, it's like, do you want to attack faster? Do you want to do more damage? Yes? I don't know.
Yeah. I just... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that ever since preseason started, it's been so easy to just be a tank and just straight up win lane. The runes and everything are pretty straightforward, but as we're seeing now, like everyone was probably thinking at the beginning of preseason, press the attack was going to be, you know, the best on Camille, just because, you know, 3-hit combo. Camille has auto attack resets, but it's not as clear cut as it should be or could be. Like Arcane Comet just sounds weird on someone like Camille, and it doesn't really fit thematically. When you think of Arcane Comet, you're thinking of like Xerath or another mage.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's something that you have to take on Camille, I think is really bad design.
Yeah, she's pretty much has a completely different playstyle, at least in laning phase currently. She plays more like a AD caster rather than a bruiser, in my opinion. In the last season, you had Fervor, you stack it up, go for long extended trades, get your really big second Q off with Fervor stacked. But now it's just like poke, whittle them down, and then force them off lane, or you can pressure a kill.
Yeah, that's something I've really wanted to talk about. And I've said this so many times on my stream, where press the attack was the most straightforward anything. You go press the attack, Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. And it's just such like a basic build that if you don't know how to use runes, it's so obvious, it's so much in front of you, right? Later on, people started to go, okay, what about Arcane Comet Olaf? What about Arcane Comet Camille? What about Kleptomancy Jax? And press the attack started to get worse and worse, and the champions went from a 52 to a 51, and now Jax is like a 50.3% win rate. And in no small part was that really hurt by Riot, because they triple nerf precision at a time when people are finally going out of their way to find the interesting builds, and they just jackhammer the most obvious one that everyone's going at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, does anyone... I mean, because they hit Press the Attack, they hurt Triumph, and then they hurt Coup de Grace, all in one patch for a tree that was really falling out of favor already.
Well, I think the nerf was directed at 80 carries, though, not at Jax. The 80 carries were pretty much always taking Press the Attack.
Well, like, if you watched any of the Korean games going on, the All-Stars, they're all going Comet, 80 carry, Comet or Airy.
I know that, but I'm saying at least like before the meta settled into the poke 80 carry meta that it currently is, like the Jin MF Varus meta, when people are actually still playing like stuff like Xayah, Twitch and stuff like the hyper carries from the last season. People are just always taking Press the Attack, and I think that like Riot was like, oh wait, like lethal tempo and fleet footwork's not being used at all for 80 carries. Maybe Press the Attack needs to be nerfed, which is just like inadvertently like hurting bruisers more.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think they were looking at, I mean, you're basically right. They were looking at Tristana doing the 1-2-3 with the explosive shot, chunking people away. And yeah, that's really deadly. But I feel like if they had looked at win rates, if they had seen Jax's, because Jax and Aurelia were the big two, right? They were up there in the win rates, and everybody's going, okay, they're the top tier bruisers, they're the top tier top laners right now. And you saw their win rate, it was just going down, 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 and then they nerfed it. And I mean, it's stuff like that that really frustrates me, because you can really see that Riot is, their current live designers are in silver. You know, these changes, how people had been playing wasn't exactly spilling down there yet. And I don't know, I feel like, I started making these videos, 2 weeks ago, when they had plenty of time to adjust those changes to not make them hit bruisers so hard. But, you know, here we are, and now everybody's just going kleptomania on all these auto-attack bruisers, which just feels very silly to me.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
I mean, if they wanted to nerf Press the Attack for, 80 ADCs, like Weeknd was saying, why didn't they just give it the fervor treatment? Like, and make it half as effective, or, make it take twice as long to stack, or, something like that.
You know, this is actually something I've talked with people about just yesterday, was the fact that Press the Attack is mostly made for bruisers and 80 carries, right? In the laning phase, that 12% bonus damage is useful for your support and your jungler, and if you're top lane, only your jungler. But you lane for 10 to 15 minutes per game, and then it kind of breaks down. You split push, it's a bit longer, but that means for a good, maybe half the game, that 12% bonus damage does nothing. So if they balance it for the laning phase for a top laner, it's going to be overpowered after the laning phase. But if they balance it for the late game, then it's going to be weak in the laning phase. And I think that's where it's at right now, where if, you press the attack on a tank, you help and everyone does great, right? But in the laning phase, that 12% bonus damage isn't being shared by any allies. So, at least in my opinion, I think they should just make it a selfish buff like all the other ones are,
Yep.
I also think like the nerfs were a little like a knee-jerk reaction by Riot.
Exactly.
They kind of nerfed before the meta settled down. Like, if you watch like LCS, the All-Stars, like, you have like 3 people running Comet, like barely anyone's running Press the Attack. I think Riot, like, when the preseason patch first rolled out, they looked at win rates, and Jax and Aurelia were at the top, because those are very, as you said, those are very like clear-cut builds everyone was running. But once people started to figure out, oh wait, Comet's like actually really good on Camille, like they actually started to figure out like what's more optimal, and like the meta settled down. Press the Attack like is not that OP anymore, but they nerfed it, so
Exactly.
yeah.
I mean, the other thing that you get, like if I look at pick rate right now, right? Second highest pick rate, and not by far second highest, is Jace. Second highest pick rate, sitting at a 53% win rate. And I don't know, I feel like it was very obvious that the meta was going to change this way, and they just kind of, it frustrates me, because obviously they're down there in silver. Changes always trickle down. Well, 95% of changes trickle down. and it hadn't quite gone there yet. You know, they were still there with Jax and Tristana and stuff. And again, that was like when I started making these videos. I'm trying to get across the point. You know, the best way I can is to get on the front page of Reddit. It's not like I have any other way to do it. And the only thing I can do is say, hey, Riot, you know, Comet Olaf has a 55% win rate. Something's going on there.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think that as far as the majority of the player base being bronze, silver, gold, for the majority of people, I think the meta for them is like 3 or 4 patches behind. Now I smurf a lot, and I see a lot of people just like 3 or 4 patches behind as far as like builds, keystones, stuff like that. So if they're judging statistics or whatever based off that, and that's how they make their decisions, and if they're when they test stuff on PvE, you know, most people on PvE are really untalented and unskilled for the most part. Like, and mostly just mess around. So it's not even the best environment to test these keystones to see, like, you know, just like release Zoe being just completely retarded. And then having Ornn, you know, come out as new champion being completely useless before he got buffed 7 or 8 times.
I was super fucking confused after they unveiled the rune changes. And you have the new super mega buffed Graspy Undying being used on Ornn. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Ornn, he was really good before the patch. Is he broken now? I don't know. You know, let's see. Graspy Undying's really good. And then they hotfixed buffed him. Like him specifically, they hotfixed buff. And I was really confused by that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's pretty interesting, is all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. It's stupid. It really
Yeah.
is.
You know, Ornn just wasn't doing enough damage, is what Riot was saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, not in silver games, yeah.
I think everyone knew Graspy Undying was a little bit underpowered, but it was still the optimal rune, or I should say keystone, on a lot of champions. Then they buffed its damage dealt, they buffed the health, they gave it permanent health stacking, and then at the 4-second timer, you now get like a full 4 seconds to use it rather than 1. Which makes it very easy to use and much more impactful. And at the same time they did that, they removed Fervor from the game. And I think anyone who knows how things fall into place, you looked at that and you said, okay, so Grasp is obviously going to be the best. Because, you know, it's just going to be the best. You look at all its opponents getting nerfed. You see Thunderlords and Fervor are getting removed. Grasp is getting triple buffed. And then while they do that, instead of allowing it to adjust a little bit, they immediately hotfix buff the Ornn. And I don't know what happened there. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what Press the Attack was in its first iteration on the PB? Before
I was actually excited for that. The infinite stacking AD.
Yeah, like, you know, something similar to Fervor. And then they replaced it with something like team-oriented, where basically only ADCs could use it effectively, and then it, you know, of course, getting nerfed.
I was actually super excited when they unveiled it because I thought Fervor always had the problem that champions like Riven tended to use it a bit better, but when it stacked indefinitely, it made champions that had high attack speed like Jax and Aurelia that they would scale as well with it as champions like Riven, right? And because if you kept hitting the same target, you kept getting more damage, I thought, okay, this is a great anti-tank rune. This is a great bruiser rune because it scales double for bruisers. It means bruisers still have that, you know, oomph. And when they changed it, I wasn't too sold on it.
I agree. Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a nice solution to, like, you see, like watching Jax's fight, like, full build Ornn at like 30-40 minutes and just hitting them for hours, just not really making much of a dent. And would have been like even like burstier bruisers like Ribbon, they still have like their airy, some other bruisers can run Comet. They don't really rely on Fervor anymore, so it would have been a nice rune to have for attack speed reliant bruisers for sure. And it just feels like Riot just kind of pigeonholed precision tree for AD carries right now.
That is something when they unveiled the precision tree and they said it was a bruiser 80 carry tree, everyone let out a collective uh-oh. But it kind of seemed like they were doing some good work with it, and I thought for sure, okay, you know, they'll probably nerf it for ranged champions because they know there's a difference in power here. They know bruisers are already not performing the greatest, and then they just, you know, 1, 2, 3 nerfs in one patch because 80 carries are using it, and it just... It's one of those things, it's so shitty to you read the patch notes.
Their first iteration, the infinite stacking AD one, it had the same penalty for range people. You gained half as much AD on autos, and somewhere down the line, that range penalty just got thrown out the window, and now it's impossible to balance for both bruisers and AD carries because there's no range penalty.
I think especially problematic is, I know people have suggested making it a 2-hit combo for melee, but then any champion that is an auto reset gets to proc it instantly, so that won't go. And I think its current iteration is just really difficult. I mean, I actually think they should just do the suggestion I have, and if you're a melee champion, the proc damage itself, like not the bonus damage you get at the end, right? The proc itself, you know, the 30 to 120 gets 25% bonus damage if you're melee. So it starts out at like 37 at rank 1, you know, level 1, caps out, you know, higher later on. And I think, because in a 3-hit combo, most bruisers can do a 1-2-hit combo easy. A third auto is where it becomes more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, the only time if I took press the attack, the only time I'd be able to proc it in lane is if straight up all in. Because either for me playing Tryndamere, it's either I do a 1 auto and then E away quickly before I take minion aggro and before they can retaliate, or I auto attack and I'm spinning into them to chase them down all in. Those are, you know, my 2 options. If I go for multiple autos, pretty much every other champion in the game beats me in just a 2 to 3 auto, you know, short trade like that. Tryndamere doesn't do that very well. I just really dislike the idea of press the attack for that reason, as it currently stands.
The only bruisers who can like 3-hit autos super reliably are probably like Irelia, Camille, maybe Jax if you land a stun, I guess, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of thought Tryndamere was gonna get reworked like 4 years ago.
He definitely should have gotten a rework. Yeah.
He's kind of
Dude, he's just been like hunkered down, just sitting there.
Hey, how do you guys feel about Swain and Irelia getting reworked over like champions like Volibear?
I'm not entirely convinced Aurelia needs a rework. Like, she's super frustrating. Like, if they had spare time, in a universe where Riot had infinite time, sure, rework her. But when I look at Aurelia and I compare her to some other champions, I just think, okay, maybe...
Look at Volibear. Come on, like...
Yeah, there are a couple...
You're not gonna rework Volibear, but you're gonna rework Irelia?
I think Volibear's in a good state.
Did Swain just recently get a mini rework too?
Yeah, except they didn't fix any of his issues, and now he's still bullying top laners. That's really what it comes down to.
You still got champions like Amumu.
I mean, if I'm looking at like the win rates for top lane right now, I think the champions they should be looking at reworking are Trundle, Tryndamere, Volibear, and honestly, I kind of want to see York get another rework, but this time done right.
I think Trundle has his spot as like the anti-tank bruiser, though.
The only problem I have with Trundle is I feel like he takes a shitload of mana to do his combo, and you can't first pick him unless you're playing like in a tournament setting, which means he's kind of dead in solo queue, isn't he? And
yeah, he's a very like counter pick reliant champion. You should really only like pick him in the very lane in the
there's one champion right here, I'm looking at him because I always get annoyed at this. Dr. Mundo, I think, has a perfectly fine kit with plenty of counterplay, with plenty of gameplay, and they just don't want him to be viable. And I've always been confused by that.
It's probably because low elos don't know how to build executioners.
Yeah.
That and I mean, I feel like in low games, it just like always gets to this point where everyone's just chasing down everyone, and it just turns into some kind of fiesta where it's just like fighting constantly. And Mundo probably thrives in that kind of environment.
Yeah, he definitely does.
By
Okay,
the way,
so
did
oh,
they
you can
go
go.
through with the mana flow ban nerfs on PB?
Yes, those are still on.
Okay, because mana flow ban is
Just remove that. Like that. Like
broken.
there's no reason that should be a keystone or whatever in the game. Like
Yeah,
actually,
I
That rune
kind
has
of,
like
I think if you want infinite mana in the laning phase, you should be forced to go down into the biscuit.
yeah. Like why is it not in the biscuit tree?
like it's gotten to the point where I usually used to go corrupting potion a lot on Camille, but since I take sorcery anyways, I take mana flow ban every game. Never have to start corrupting potions. Never have to worry about mana.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty stupid.
Right now, the sorcery tree, in my opinion, it's not that the other trees aren't good. It's that the sorcery tree does a very obvious things you would want to win a game. It makes you run quicker, it gives you infinite mana, and it gives you damage in the laning phase.
Yep.
Yep.
You watch Xerath support not build any mana items, but have mana flow ban and just not have to worry about mana. Like it's that mastery, like those are like the really simple, like straightforward runes that I feel like are the strongest. Like they're pretty uninteresting. Like
Uninteresting is the right way to
Yeah.
put it.
Scorch does damage, Celerity makes you run faster, mana flow ban just restores your mana. So like
Yeah.
just like very straightforward, and they're just the easily the strongest runes right now.
Right,
I
so
mean,
you can go.
I was just gonna say, remember last season when the builds for champions like Ornn and Maokai, the tanks that spam spells, they were forced to go either like triple Doran's Ring, or after Doran's Ring got nerfed, it went Doran's Ring, Dark Seal, and Corrupting Pot. Now tanks don't have to sacrifice anything because of that rune, to be able to just constantly spam spells in lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's pretty bad for me.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. It, I don't know.
Like no cost for it.
When I see, there's certain champions that when I see them walk into lane, and you see that, oh, they're smart enough to have gotten mana flow banned. A champion like Ornn or Jace, and you're like, okay, well, this is gonna be my life then.
Yeah, I mean it's gotten to the point where it's starting to feel like mana is just like insignificant for most champions as long as you take that rune.
Okay, so moving on, I guess from that, I don't remember what Weeknd wanted to say.
I guess I just want to talk about like why Camille's like emerging like
Yeah,
so
okay.
heavily as a top lane carry pick. Right now, people are running a lot of comment. I kind of touched on that. Sorcery tree is just really strong, and the buffs that she got in the last patch. If you guys don't know, her shield duration got buffed by half a second, and also her duration that she can hold her second Q, like the true damage Q, also got buffed by half a second, which is actually like really nice buffs, which I didn't think she needed, because before last patch, her win rate was like hovering around maybe like 50% ish, and in my opinion, Camille's like pretty tough champion to like learn and master. So like her win rate's like never gonna be that high in my opinion, unless she's like really good. You guys remember like release Camille? That thing was
It was
a monster.
yeah.
The hardest part of learning Camille, I found, is realizing just how broken her E hitbox is, and
Oh,
just the wacky things you can do with that.
Yeah.
There's some fun things you can do, but she's really strong right now. If she plays against tanks, you just farm against them. You don't really even have to kill them. If your jungler comes and you're level 6, you can lock them down and you can actually kill them because you have enough true damage. And late game, she just scales like a monster. There's like very few top laners that I think outscales Camille. Maybe Gangplank. That's about it. And yeah, she's like pretty much strong throughout most stages of the game right now with sorcery, because her early game was really abusable in the last season to most bruisers. Like Irelia, Jax could bully her out of lane if they both take fervor, because like you couldn't really take extended trades against those champions as Camille with Fervor because they just do way more base damage than you early game. But now you don't really have Fervor. I just take comment and just poke, and yeah, that's pretty much why she's really strong right now.
It's something that I think Riot should really touch on as a whole is the fact that when they downscaled Fervor to press the attack and they upscaled the poke, and they really did, poke went from what you had Thunderlords in the past, and now you've got Comet, which in my opinion for a lot more champions is a lot more usable. And the laning phase right now kind of went from, I guess, either Grasp the Undying or Fervor being the dominant laning phase masteries, to now it's Comet everyone. And Comet makes poke so much more difficult to deal with, especially if you're a champion like Olaf or Camille or something like that can set up a perfect Comet hit. And I mean, I noticed they reverted the Olaf buffs on the PBE, and I can't help but feel that's because they noticed Comet Olaf is bullying people all early game.
Yep. I think it goes to show like how strong sorcery is, because before Aerie got nerfed, everyone was running Aerie.
Yeah.
Aerie was just really strong, and after Aerie gets nerfed, it's like, oh well, Comet's still good. Let's just all hop on the Comet wagon, and it just went from like 3 people having on your team having Aerie to like 3 people having Comet on your team now.
Yeah. I mean, basically, the whole thing's a bit weird to me because I think it's, if you look at any stat and you look at any way to play the game that's going to be the most effective during the laning phase, if people could say if you could power up your champion for doing anything in the laning phase, what you want? You would want more flat damage and you would want more poke, right? And that tree is both of them in the same tree. And it'll kind of mean that tree is always going to be the best tree until on the PBE they're hitting its flat damage right now, but I feel even if they nerf its flat damage, it's just gonna, because I mean you get hit by Scorch, you get hit by Comet, you get hit by Camille's W, and you can say, oh, but you can all in better. It's a lot more difficult to all in against a champion, especially early game when minion damage is high, if you're losing a fourth of your health each time.
It's hard to all in when you're getting poked every time, every like 20 seconds for 150 health from my W, right? And Camille is actually not that easy of a champion to all in either with her passive. She can just kind of sit back, hit you with W. If you jump on her, she just autos you, gets that shield. She can disengage with her E.
It's something I really didn't like about the buffs is if they wanted to buff Camille, they should have buffed her health scaling or something. Maybe buff her armor back a little bit. But when they put the longer duration on her Q and they put the longer duration on her shield, all they were really doing was nerfing her counterplay. Like, they made it harder to counter her.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Usually the best way to counter Camille in like 1v1 fights is if you have like a CC, you can CC her after she uses her first Q so that you can deny her second Q, because it does fizzle out pretty quickly. But now that half second helps a lot. And even the passive shield, if Camille goes on you in lane and gets a nice trade in and just runs out with the shield, it's harder for you to retaliate from that because that shield's gonna last 2 seconds now. And I think that was just it's good for Camille. Like, I'm not gonna complain, but I think it was, first of all, I think it was unnecessary buff, and it was definitely the wrong way to buff her.
I agree. Actually, yeah, I agree.
I just don't like it when they remove counterplay to a champion as a form of buffing them, because then the more counterplay you remove from a champion, the more you're turning them to a giant stat stick.
Yep.
So, you can go.
Oh, I was going to touch on, we're talking about, poke champions and, sorcery tree is busted. And I want to kind of, run back over to Resolve Tree a little bit. You remember the mastery from last season? There are 2 of them. There was Runic Armor, which provided, I believe it was 8%, increased healing from any source. So like Lifesteal or, for instance, Trinmir's Bloodlust. And then there's also another one. It's called Perseverance, which gave you increased health regen based off your base health regen. I think it was 50% increased base health regen.
And it goes to like 200% if you're below a certain health, I think, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, under 25%.
Wow.
Now, I think Riot was just, when they changed how press the attack was going to go, when they changed second wind, when they, calling Runic Armor revitalized, but making it worse than it was as Runic Armor. I think they just wanted to make everything sound different, so that it was new, but they ended up just fucking it up.
To this day, I have no actual idea what is the healing one called now?
Second win?
No, the
Or revitalize.
Revitalize.
I have no idea what
Revitalize,
revitalize affects. I played it on Aatrox, and I asked my chat, "Wait, guys, does this affect my W heal?" And everybody's like, "Yes, no, yes, no." And I was trying to heal with it.
Is really ambiguous.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't do anything. I don't think anyone takes that except for. I don't know.
Is it like heals from like other people that it only affects, or
I just don't take it because I don't know what it does, and I don't want to look like an idiot.
how do you guys feel about second wind being heal? Like, you know how perseverance is based off your base regen, but now it's based off your percent missing health. How do you guys feel about that? Like,
Hate it.
tanks?
I know
Pretty
what they were
strongly,
going
yeah.
for. I know what they were going for, and I love it on Kled. But it can get real frustrating when over the course of your initial back in the laning phase, when it's giving you 250 health, that feels about the right numbers.
Mhm.
That's a lot of health, and that's a lot of health you have to chunk through to get to a kill.
Yeah.
And right now, it basically seems like an excuse to not nerf Pantheon, where they, you go Dorn Shield, second wind, you'll be fine.
I just feel like it's like this. It's just like too good on tanks, being based off percent health.
Change it
just
to a
feels-
flat number, for the love of God.
Exactly.
They could
Like,
just make it a flat number per level.
It just
Yeah.
feels bad. Dealing with Maokai or an Ornn who's healing for percent missing health. Like, they don't need that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking on Tryndamere. I take second wind to survive this fucking Teemo. That every time he autos, he's getting 2 Aries and Scorch with his blind,
Mhm.
and then my second wind is completely useless. But when you take a look at tanks, that 4% missing health is ridiculous come mid to late game as well.
It's
So
really
just
good on
too good.
Kled.
and Kled, because his health is ridiculous.
Do you just permaban Teemo nowadays?
Yes, I permaban Teemo, and if they pick Ornn, I dodge.
And Vladimir. Fuck that champion too. Fuck Vladimir players.
Vlad's doing pretty good right now.
You know, if you take Unsealed Spellbook and Ionian Boots on Vlad, your flash is on 3-minute cooldown.
Yeah, it's so stupid, dude. Me and Strumpus were dueling, and we literally just hard carried every fucking game. Like, Strumpus just bent everyone over in the game, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Every
It's
3
crazy.
minutes, someone's gonna die.
It's so
Like-
stupid. Like, there's actually no counterplay to Vlad. And I swear to God, throw a silver game and throw a silver player in a fucking challenger game, and they could play Vladimir, and they could pop off on it. Like, to my word, that champion is dumb. Should be
I
removed.
remember, what was it? MLGB.
Yep,
Losing
yep,
to Void
Yep,
Boys.
it's true though. Metaphor was right. He was fucking right. I will tell you. Okay?
Oh,
Metaphor
Jesus.
hunkered down and he said the truth, and it needed to be said. I swear, it
Yeah.
needed to be said.
You know what bothered me about that was how salty the League community got that a pro player was like, "Oh, we're just gonna ban Vlad because he's overpowered." And he was like, "You can't say that. You can't say
Yeah.
that. You have to. No, everyone's created equal. Player skill matters."
Yeah. Not with Vladimir. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey, well, it made me laugh because I think of how many teams throughout history. Not a lot, but there's always been a few teams throughout history, and people are like, "What's your strategy?" Like, we knew back in season 2, this is Moscow 5, right? They're like, "Oh, we knew York was overpowered, so we kept picking York." People are like, "What? You can't say that, Moscow 5. You're better than them." Like, no, maybe they just knew York was overpowered at the time. Or what was it? I think in season 4, SKT was like, we just kept picking the same team comp because nobody realized it was overpowered. And no, SKT, you got Faker, you're really good. It's like, yeah, actually, League community, the difference between champions is often very large.
I mean, wasn't the whole Cloud9 run in season 3 based off just picking the best champions, and like
Yes.
they played a fuck ton of
Ash-
solo queue, so
Ash
they knew
Zyra.
the best
Ash
champion.
Zyra. Yep.
And then it ended by not picking Cassidy.
Oh,
Yep.
my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Oh my, oh
Accident.
god.
I could talk for hours about season 3.
97% win or ban rate in solo
Yep.
queue, didn't ban it against one of the most famous casting players. I don't know.
It was funny. It was really funny. Just I remember who is it? Lily Pichu did the fucking video on it, and it was just Cassidy gone. There's an A, just like go get him an A, gone. Oh, okay. I mean, I guess we'll cheer for Korea then.
Not banning Cassidy. But yeah, MLGB got so much flack for that. Like teams adjust their bans like between series, and they just said, "Hey, Vlad's OP, we're gonna ban it," and they got so much flack for it.
But it was the truth though. And sorry for
Yeah.
cutting you off, babe. But it really was the truth. Like it's just the way it goes.
You know what blew my mind was the fact that people could see it in front of them. They could see, okay, this team of people who know how to rotate, play well together because they've all played competitively. This team gets to late game and the Vladimir pulls them through and they win. Next game, no Vladimir, they get crushed. Next game, no Vladimir, they get crushed. Was it a best of 5? So was it 3 times?
It was best of 3.
Okay,
yeah.
so they got crushed 2 times in a row without the Vladimir. So right in front of your eyes, you saw the difference between that team not having Vladimir and having Vladimir, and still people got so upset that anyone was willing to call out that, oh, there's bad balance, so we just banned it. Okay.
It was also looking at like the top matchup. I love Voyboy, but he hasn't been a top main in a long time, and he hasn't also been like challenger for last season, I don't think. And he was against MLGB Blade, who was like rank 1 at some point, and he's a really good top laner. And Voyboy just picked Vlad, and he actually managed to do really well with it. And props to him, but the champion was pretty strong.
It is.
Yeah. A similar problem is actually I have something leveling my ult. Whenever I run up to a Pantheon, you could have like a level 15 Pantheon player, right? Like not like bronze or anything. We're talking like level 15. New player making a new account, plays Pantheon, hits me with Q on cooldown, drives me out of lane. I'm down to CS. I can't fight back against him. My chat will say, "Oh, why you're losing to a level 15?" I'm like, okay, like somebody give me the actual counterplay. Like I was playing Jax at the time. Like give me the actual counterplay. Me on Jax, him on Pantheon. How do I not just survive the lane, but how do I actually turn this on him and beat him?
You don't.
You pick Camille.
Right?
I think a lot of I think this is just really bad about top lane in general. It's just all about counter picks right now, and Riot's thoughts on it. Pick a different champion if you're against this, which I don't know. For me as a one trick is terrible, but like even for people who are playing meta, playing certain champions because you have to in order to be successful. I don't find it very fun.
I'm gonna go off this because I was looking up win rates here, and I saw Malzahar. About 2 weeks ago, I made a video, right? And I said Malzahar was single-handedly the reason SKT couldn't win. Faker couldn't kill Malzahar in lane, had to resign himself to farming. No Faker dominating the early game, SKT fell apart. And I got so much like, no, guys. Malzahar was super balanced, he was fair, etc., etc., etc. And I feel that goes into this. They picked a champion who all he does is at the time, his ult got super nerfed, but you couldn't all in him because of his ult, E, ult, Q, you're dead, right?
His passive also.
Yeah, and you can't all in him. You can't really poke him out because of how he functions. He's always going to push you out of lane, so what did Faker do? First game he tried to win. Second game he played a push champion. Third game he said fuck it and played Karma. And that kind of stuff is kind of exactly what happens to top lane, except it's not one champion doing it, it's multiple champions doing it. And I guess the Karma mid, the way, what's the right way to put this? The analogy of Faker resigning himself to playing Karma mid is how a lot of top laners resign themselves to just playing a tank top. Oh, okay, they picked Teemo. Fuck it. I guess I'm Maokai now. Okay, fine. We'll farm for late game.
It's ridiculous.
It's because stuff like Malzahar, Teemo are like neutralizing picks, so you have to just pick stuff that will be useful even if you don't get fed.
But the problem is then they become lane bullies too. Like Teemo on top of that is also a lane bully. He has a very small hitbox, so you can't gank him if you're like playing like a champion like Nidalee, and then you just kind of like hunker down as Teemo, and it's actually a little bit ridiculous. Like if you ask me, but that's the jungler standpoint.
I think top laners have been playing. The top tier top lane has been tank since season, I want to say 5, really, but let's say late season 4. That a lot of these lane bullies have kind of been ignored just because the competitive players say, oh, Teemo, he's not an issue. I just play Nautilus at the time into him or Poppy into him. I just out farm him. I outscale him. In solo queue, there's been so many champions that have been kind of ruining it, but the number of them has increased over time. So first it was kind of tank Teemo and people ignored it. And then Jace got in there and people ignored it. But now there's things like Comet Olaf. And it's kind of the decay of top lane has not been just an issue for preseason 8. It's been there for a while. It's just now finally people are saying, I don't want to play a tank. Could you please fix a lane so I don't have to play a tank?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you really bring up some good points here, Hashinshin. I really hope that like a Rioter is actually watching this, because like I feel like that like there's a lot of changes that could be made, and they could be made like essentially overnight, and it would like make the state of the game just so much better. But it's a little bit despicable if you ask me.
My chat's laughing at Comet Olaf, like, oh, he's not good. He's really good, guys.
Yeah, like you actually, I wanted to bring up Olaf, and sorry for cutting you off again, babe, but like I was just curious, like what you thought about the Olaf changes. If you thought like anything in particular, Hashinshin.
I thought they were going to be really bad. I think they need to increase his armor and health per level. Let him be a little bit of a lane bully, sure, but the changes they were doing were basically going to make it, if he hit you with an axe, walked up and hit you with that second axe, you might as well walk away from your keyboard at that point. Buffing his attack speed on his W, putting the cooldown on his E to 8 seconds flat, giving him more damage per level. That champion was going to be so fucking just disgusting at level 4. Just no way to fight him, no way to escape, and I'm glad they didn't do him, but on the other hand, I would like to see his late game be a little bit better. Like, it doesn't have to be great, but, give him like 10 more armor and like 100 more health at level 18.
I want to bring up this topic. How do you guys feel about, I don't know if you guys talked about this before, how do you guys feel about Singed?
Fucking broken. Fuck Singed players. Fuck Vladimir players. Oh my god. No brain. Actually, no skill. Sorry.
Man, talk about like a neutralizing lane. Having I mean, some top laners can help the jungler lock down the Singed if he just like goes for a proxy. But then some top laners just like the Singed proxy is basically no laning phase. I don't like the fact that and they even kind of buffed his proxy playstyle by giving the extra move speed on his passive, right?
His win rate has been, so before the preseason buffs, his win rate was about 54. After the preseason changes, he's just sitting about like 52, 53. And I feel that he's a booster champion. Same way Opto used to think that Aurelion Sol was a booster champion. I think Singed mains, if you put them on any other champion, they play a whole tier worse. Like,
yep.
You play with
division,
like not division, whole tier. I think
tier. Yeah.
I think if they're like Diamond 1, I think they don't play Singed, I think they play at like Plat 1 level.
The only thing I can say about Singed is, I think a week and a half ago, I always bring up these points, but about a week and a half ago, I said Singed was as close as you can get to a ranged bully without being ranged. And I feel like that's still true. Because in effect, when you fight against Singed, if you ever try to fight him, he flings you. So you can't really melee him, and his playstyle isn't to sit in melee range and bully you, but to rather just, if he's actually deciding to lane against you, he puts poison over all the minions you're trying to last hit. And if you ever try to fight him, he just flings over your shoulder, walks away through the poison, and well, there's not much you can do about that. So I think that's basically the right description of him, in that very frequently you find the best way to play against Singed is to say, okay, he poisoned the minion wave trying to stop me from CSing. I'll just not CS, let it push into me, I'll take it then. But then you realize that you're just conceding the laning phase again.
You're not interacting with the champion at all. I remember talking to Viper, and he always bans Singed because he learns nothing from playing against Singed. You're not playing and interacting with your lane opponent. You don't like really. I guess you could improve on your like mid game, late game macro and whatnot, but in terms of laning, like I feel that I learned nothing from laning against Singed players.
Yeah, the Singed for top lane is basically like Malzahar for mid lane as far as just like, you're not really laning. You're kind of just like sitting there and farming, and if you go too aggressive, then you lose.
Die.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Let me just do this right now. I'm gonna go through the top 10% win rate champions right now, and that's weird. Okay, I'm gonna ignore one of them because it's Sion, and Sion gets all his win rate from queuing in the bot brush and killing Bronzes. I swear to God. So okay, so number one is Jace.
Comment Sion too.
I've seen comment on everyone.
Yeah, I've seen Sion comment, and it's actually decent because if you land your E or Q, you guarantee a hit.
Okay, so number one is Jace. Does anyone think Jace doesn't deserve to be number one win rate?
He definitely needs to be knocked down a peg or two.
His current nerfs on the PBE, does anyone know what they are? Does everyone know what they are?
Isn't it his like hammer?
His hammer is going from a 20 or 15 second cooldown to 20 at rank 1.
Yeah, that's
I've never heard anyone say that that's going to change anything.
Never seen people complain about his hammer for me at all.
I think I complain about the fact that he does 2/3 my health at level 2. That's pretty much my complaint.
Yeah, it's like even if it's on a longer cooldown, can you really punish it until like later levels when you get like tabbies or whatever item you're getting to counter the Jace?
Because he goes
the early CDR like being higher means nothing. I mean, how often is Jace gonna do a full combo and then actually go in with a melee form like QE as well?
They just need to look at his mana costs. Like before his mana changes, Jace used to be forced to go tier. Now he doesn't have to build tier at all, and now mana flow bend's a thing. So
it's something I talked about. I talked about that with people, and people haven't realized it. When they increased the mana cost of his E, people thought they were making his mana shitty again. If you go back and you look at the changes, I think they started in Season 5 to Season 6, his mana cost, even with that E nerf, has gone down considerably.
Yep.
And people don't realize that.
His mana costs are pretty low. And he doesn't have to worry about mana in laning phase.
I feel like it used to be you could outplay Jace by if you made him take a bad trade. If you made him use his combo into Counter-Strike or a shield or a stun, or maybe you canceled it and you made him blow a shitload of mana, that was kind of how you won. And now that it just doesn't matter. He takes a bad trade. He says, I'm going to hammer these minions. You can't fight back because you're too low life, and I'll get my cooldowns back. And it doesn't need his E cooldown, mind you. Like, his double Q is enough to kill you. And it'll just say, I'll be back in a little bit, Just sit right there, don't CS, I'll come kill you in 10 seconds.
Yeah, you sidestep his EQ, and that should, put a dent on his mana pool, and if you dodge enough EQs, you'd think, oh wait, maybe he's gonna run out of mana and I can force him out of lane, but he's not really running out of mana anytime soon.
Okay, so skipping number 2, but the number 3 top win rate is Heimerdinger. He's currently got a nerf on the PBE. His ultimate turret beam damage. So everyone knows
right?
what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's getting halved.
Yep.
That's a pretty good nerf.
Heimerdinger talking about it. He thinks that it is deserved. And
yeah, it's definitely.
I agree.
Yep.
It's pretty oppressive, not being able to do much to Heimer level 6 as a bruiser.
You can't all in him, you can't gank him. You resign your turret and you move on.
Yep, I think it's. A good
I think Heimerdinger's playstyle is so niche. Not like a Singe, but it's kind of similar in the fact that Heimerdingers have a very different playstyle from just like other kind of bully lanes, just because the whole turret aspect.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's cool that Heimerdinger actually has a pretty good win rate, because he was shit for multiple years before this. Need a little bit of time in the spotlight, and I think the ultimate nerf is just enough. And he's supposed to be bullied. He needs to win by 20-25 minutes, or else late game he doesn't necessarily fall off. He still does a ton of damage, but he's very cooldown reliant, I feel.
He also has his ultimate grenade for team fights, even though
Yeah.
the turret is nerfed. He still has other options.
I think his Baron fight is like really strong, and I think like the fact that he can sneak Baron at like 20 minutes and that pretty much goes without fail in a lower elo game is a little bit stupid personally, because like Baron actually like does just win one team the game straight up.
The note I'll make here is, other than Kale, the only champion, you need to go to the number 14th highest win rate before you get someone with a lower pick rate. Heimer's pick rate is compared, like it's like 9% Jace, 2% Heimer, 5% Alawi, and then you get down to Olaf, who's still 2.6%. So he's clearly not a very popular character. It seems like they're doing a good targeted nerf at exactly what makes him broken, and that's why I think a lot of people are just kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one surprises me. The 4th highest win rate is Alawi. Alawi?
Oh man, I can't wait to talk about this one.
I think it's just Klepto and melee
love
matchups,
Alawi.
right?
Alawi, right now, yeah, Klepto is amazing on her, and the new build that's been emerging on her with the Sterix buff. So if you guys don't know, Alawi actually has the highest base AD in the game at level 18. So what Quas has been building is Triforce Sterix rather than Black Cleaver, and it lets you hit people with your late game Ws with Triforce proc for a ton of damage. And her traditional weakness has been like dealing with squishies and team fights that can just like sidestep her tentacles, and it kind of just like lets her be like a lot more reliable in terms of damage output rather than just rely on her tentacles. And she feels really good right now, and she's obviously like a tank buster in lane. And
That's actually something I want to touch on real quick. Is I was really frustrated they reverted the Black Cleaver nerf, because I see most champions that built Black Cleaver now just going for the Trinity. I think a lot of people are saying, I'd rather have Trinity Sterix than Black Cleaver anything.
yes,
Not all of them, but a lot of them are doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the Sterix 50% base AD change is super nice to go along with Triforce now. And yeah, Cleaver is definitely not as popular.
I think any item change that can help cut down tanks is needed right now, especially if Resolve stays anywhat similar to what it is right now in terms of strength. Just because tanks are really strong.
What was a Cleaver?
How back in
They were going to put it from 24% shred back to 30%.
revert the nerf they did back in season 7.
That would have been a nice buff.
I was looking forward to it, especially when I play something like Kled right now, and you hit, you're sitting on a tank mid game, and you're like, and you notice their health bar is like, it moved a little bit, got a little bit of it.
Especially on champions that you don't really want to build like Last Whisper on. Black Cleaver's nice.
So do you think Alawi's gonna get nerfed, or is this just kind of she's doing real good?
I think she also has the effect of people like not knowing what the fuck she does. Like I've had countless times where 2 melee like top jungles just run into my lane and try to kill me level 6, and I just kill them both. And I think once people like if she does get more popular and people start figuring out what she actually does, I think her win rate's gonna drop. I don't think she's OP. I think she's in a much better spot than she was in previous season 7. But yeah, I think her win rate will drop.
She does seem to have a kind of. I mean, the thing I always tell people is, not to mention a particular jungle, but I'll always have people that say we can't gank Alawi, she'll ult. And I think, well, actually, all you have to do is rotate her stuns.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a phase. She's not that tanky. I'll counter strike. You know, you use, I don't know, Rek'Sai on Burrow. Dead. And then there's always these people that blow everything on the first half of her health bar. Then she gets unstunned, and then tentacles.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people just don't know how to play against her, and she is a champion that is very, like, has a lot of counterplay to her. So I don't think she's much of a problem as long as you figure out how she works.
Anyone else have anything to say? Okay, so number 5 is Olaf. Unsurprising to me, because I've been playing him. Surprising to Twitch chat and a few other people that, yes, Comet Olaf is good.
I haven't seen it at all in my games, surprisingly, but I've heard it's good.
It's got a very low pick rate. And it used to be, when it was at a 1% pick rate, it was at like a 55 win rate. It's 2.6 now at 52%. It'll probably drop to 51% win rate if people actually start picking it up. I don't think it's overpowered. As I said earlier, I think he could use a little bit of a buff. But I do feel justified that, yes, he's good. And I've been saying it's good.
How is he against tanks?
You've got so much pressure and so much damage. Like, the tanks without mobility, like Ornn, can often find themselves like, I'm going to breathe into Olaf. And Olaf's like, okay, I'm going to ult into you. Let's see which one of these wins.
Well,
Olaf wins, if you didn't know.
Yeah. Number 6 is Singed. It's... Okay. Number 7 is Gangplank. Klepto Gangplank. With a high pick rate, too. Very high.
Yeah.
Sorry for cutting off, but I think it's more seen in lower rank. Like, in higher rank, it's really easy to, like, punish, especially a top Gangplank. I think it's a lot better mid than top, personally, but...
The problem he has is that he gets killed. He can stand on his barrels and try to neutralize a lane for a long time, but eventually his opponent's going to get damaged, the jungle's going to get damaged, and they're going to kill him. I think that's going to happen many, many times.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's lower elo where people don't know how to like abuse him properly. Like
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, in high elo, like people will dive the shit out of Gangplank over and over.
If you challenge him for his barrels too, like if you actually hit one of his barrels away when he really needs it, he kind of just dies for free. And low elo never challenges you for barrels. Number 8 is Camille. Unsurprising. A champion who is very weak in the early levels is now able to neutralize the early levels.
Yep, and her win rate's that high. Like Gangplank and Camille being that high is actually kind of surprising considering they're like kind of hard to learn.
One thing you need to consider, I think, is that low elo is very dumb and will often inflate win rates. Like when Yorick was sitting at 54%, that was all bronze peoples who just let the ghouls beat them up. Now he's down at 49%, unsurprising.
Yeah, Yorick wasn't like seeing any play in like high elo really.
And so then Kayle, lowest win rate so far, by the way. Or sorry, lowest play rate. Kayle is actually getting nerfed on the PBE as well.
Wait, what is happening?
They're lowering her damage per level to 2.2 from 2.8. And her E cooldown is going, I think it's 15 flat now. I think. They're putting it to 18 to 14. So she's going to have a much...
I have never seen Kayle in like... I don't know how long, and they're actually nerfing her.
Pretty harsh too.
I mean,
harsh nerfs. Where are the Jace nerfs?
Yeah,
they for some. Okay, so yeah, it's 16 right now. They're making it 18 to 14. The cooldown on her E, the /E, and then they're reducing her base damage by 6 per level.
Those are some weird nerfs going on. Like. When's the last time you guys seen Kayle like pop off and like carry games?
I think the better question is when was the last time I saw a Kayle? That's been at least 4 months.
Yeah.
Most champions right now can actually just stand in front of her ult and beat her, so...
I mean, the last time I saw Kayle was when, some Chinese booster or something.
Oh, the Master Yi
Yeah, the Master Yi kill strategy. That's the only time I ever saw Kayle, and it was on some just dude being boosted.
Well, I
Damn.
played against Akil yesterday, and I played Alawi, and I won. And that matchup like it's a terrible matchup, but I still won. Akil didn't seem that good.
Alawi abuser.
I think a lot of it is that Kale was one of the poke champions. You know, hit E, hit you with 1 or 2 autos, back off. Now that so many champions have Comet and stuff, and Kleptomancy to kind of get them through the laning phase, it has really lowered, I feel, her impact if you actually don't just stand in her E taking auto after auto after auto.
Yep.
I'm actually going to 11 because I skipped the number 2 here, Sion, because I'm always going to skip Sion, and I've said why. Teemo, number 10. His nerves, he's losing, what, 4 damage per level? No, not per level. 4 damage at level 1, I think.
4 damage.
Let me actually... It is... Yeah, he's losing 4 damage, base damage. So he's going from 58 to 54 base damage. Then his health growth is going from 94 to 90.
You said that was for Timo?
For Teemo.
No, that's good. I mean, they just need to make him not do. I mean, I think Timo is like almost there to where like he's manageable. Even for me, you know, I'm playing like the number 1 champion that Timo counters, and it's like it's an almost manageable lane for me after, you know, just a little airy nerf. But then with the base AD and the health going a little bit lower, I think they'll be fine.
Worth noting, by the way, all these champions have been at 52% win rate or above. And then the last champion at 52% win rate is Pantheon, with no nerfs slated.
No nerfs. Wow.
Crazy. That's very appalling, actually, in my opinion.
I really thought they were going to hit his Q mana cost at some point.
Been busted for a while, a long time actually, like over a season.
Yeah.
I hate his passive. I really do.
It's so stupid. It blocks a turret shot. Like, that's actually just
I
silly.
really do.
Yeah.
I have nightmares of getting though from full health by Pantheon at least, like level 3, because
Oh my god.
you just tank like 3 tower shots. I was like, all right, well,
I thought the 2 changes I thought for sure were going to hit when they started saying we're going to do a top lane hotfix. I said, okay, they're either going to allow him to not stack his passive to 3, then proc the shield with W, so he can't block into an immediate block. Alternatively, I thought they're going to increase his Q mana cost. They didn't do either, and I guess that surprised me a little bit.
what do you guys think if like his W didn't instantly give him a shield, but like maybe like half the stacks or something like that?
I mean, you should just give him 1 stack, just like his spear
Just 1
does.
stack?
Yeah, just like the spear. It should just be like another spell added on.
That might be a little bit harsh though. I think
What
like
they should really take a look at is making it takes 4 stacks, right? They should really look into making it like 6 to 3, like 6 at level 1, maybe 4, sorry, 5 at level 5, you know, something like that. So yeah, late game he can get more shields, especially because they nerfed his attack speed considerably way back in the day. But I feel especially for early game, especially when he's turret diving, you know, and he can walk in, shield, oh, I blocked the turret shot. Walk in again, you know, throw spear, shield, oh, I blocked the turret shot again.
yep, that could like make him a little more relevant in the late game too. Like
Yeah.
shift his powers a little bit.
I actually like that idea a lot.
That's pretty good. I mean, triple blocks at like level 3, like when your jungler, you know, eventually comes to gank the Pantheon, having Pantheon triple block at level 3 and 4 is kind of stupid.
It's very tedious, is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
When I'm playing Jax, you leap strike, attack, block. Hits you with W, okay, I take a spear shot and auto. Okay, a counter strike, block. Okay, stun him with the counter strike, attack and a W. And he spear shots and autos me, block. Then you're dead, and you've hit him like twice.
Have you tried that matchup with Camille? It's actually super nice.
I haven't. I've been playing a lot of Camille, but that's all.
I played against Keegan, and I actually like just beat him in lane like without any jungle help. Just like running Comet Camille, and it feels really fucking strong. To be
Camille
honest.
feels right now like just first pick material.
Yeah, she is. The worst matchup I can honestly think of for her is probably like Maybe Jace if your jungle is like just like completely AFK, but the Jace matchup is actually doable as long as your jungle just comes by like level 6 and you just get a free kill.
The biggest frustration I have with Camille is her gank assist is completely unbelievably broken, and the amount of junglers who will just not get the kill.
Yep.
Walk top.
You have to ping your ult. Hey, I have ultimate. I can lock them down for 3 seconds. You can come up and pick up this free kill. But yeah.
All right. Lie talk. Do you have anything to say? Anything you want to bring up?
Well, we already talked about the thing I wanted to bring up, which was Olaf. So I guess other than just, I hope you guys are all being safe and we're all having great solo queue days. Is kind of what I wanted to bring up. Other than the
Practice safe
Olaf.
solo queue, everybody.
Just one love, guys. Like seriously,
Use
the world's a
protection.
family.
Okay, actually, let me bring up my last thing here then. Have you guys seen all the changes they're doing to all the bruisers on the PB?
Which all the changes?
All of them. Like, if I here, I can't link it. Okay, so every team of Renekton's getting 3 more damage and 0.65 more damage per level. Very inconsequential in my opinion for a champion with that low of a win rate right now.
Like they're just like individually buffing champions rather than addressing like the actual issue.
They were gonna buff Black Cleaver and Titanic. They reverted Black Cleaver. Tiamat and Titanic are getting 5 more damage each, which is something. But
Gold costs, bruiser item gold costs.
10,400 gold for 3 bruiser items versus 8,600 gold for 3 AD carry items. I have that memorized. I just
Same with mages, I think. Mages also have like same cost as AD carries. Morello is like what, 2,900?
It's such a difference. 3,700 for Trinity, 3,400 for Titanic, 3,200 for Sterix. I mean, I guess Kleptomancy helps you from that perspective, but should you really be shoehorned into it just to get into a build by mid-game?
Yeah, you can have Morello's, Liandry's, and Large Rod with like 7,600 gold. So, yeah.
Renekton, he's getting a little bit more damage. Anyone think that's going to be enough? Renekton coming back with that?
What's his
No.
rate? Like 47% right now or something like that?
Who's the other one? Oh, Cled's getting 10 more damage on Jousting, so 20 more damage at rank 1. He's also getting 2 more base damage and 0.5 more growth.
That's not bad.
Cled, in my opinion, he's the one that's going up. Like, you combo the Titanic buff with that, and that's pretty good.
I think Cled's in a good spot already. I don't know why they're buffing him.
They're really trying to push Cled again.
What keystone do you run on Cled?
I run push the attack. Press the attack. It's pretty good.
Yeah, because you proc the press the attack with your first 3 autos on your W, and then your 4th auto really hits hard.
Yeah.
And not only that, if you joust while you Q, so you Q while you're jousting forward, auto, the second bear trap thing hits, then your 4th Q or W hits. I'm saying everything wrong right now, but either way, you get my point. You can jam it right up there and do like 2/3 somebody's health.
Those jousting moves look really good. 10 per dash. That's nice.
Yeah, and it's 20 damage at level 3. That's pretty significant. I mean, I think the big thing is when you combine Second Wind with all the attack speed from Precision, and this is why I think the Precision Resolve nerf is going to be a large nerf, because that dude loves Second Wind. That's like his thing. And losing 9% attack speed might not seem that important to Cled, but being able to get his W's off quicker, and importantly being able to remount quicker, is a pretty big deal to him. They've reverted most of the... Oh yeah, Aatrox is getting 10 damage on his Q, 5 damage on his E, and 2 more base damage.
That doesn't seem like much of a push.
I think they should focus on heal. heal is so insignificant right now, especially if you buy any healing debuff. I mean, going from the Aatrox of old, out healing 2 or 3 people wailing on you, to this new Aatrox who a tank can just stand and auto attack to death, it feels very bad.
I've played Aatrox maybe twice, so I can't really comment on him.
He's kind of good with Sterak's because his passive boosts his base damage, and the Sterak's increases the entirety of his base damage. The Sterak's kind of makes sense on him, but you can't fit the Trinity in, so he's losing like half the build. If they really wanted to buff him, if they truly wanted to push Aatrox, the one of 2 ways I think you could go about it are A, I think his W heal is like 6.5% missing health. They could just straight boost that to 8 or 9%. But if they didn't want to do that, the second way to do it would be to reduce the cooldown on his E and fumble around some of the numbers a lot, but reduce that cooldown to like 5 or 4 so you can chain proc Trinity. And that, especially because his passive increases his base damage, if he could chain proc Trinity, that would definitely make him very threatening. Because especially with this long range, if he can proc those Trinities on 80 carries on the back line, that makes him a very threatening character. His current state, though, not so much.
Yeah, I don't think Riot wants to go back to him like being the drain tank. I'm like the drain healing bruiser, I guess. And those changes that you said with the E changes could be the right direction with the Triforce. But yeah, I don't think they'll ever bring back his healing to the level that it used to be.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. That's actually a really good point, Weeknd.
At the very least, I think back in the day, when champions were much less immobile, kiting with Aatrox used to be a very, that was his thing. Like if a Tryndamere or something's running at you and you hit him with your E slow and your blade slow and you're whack at him from long range and you just outrange him enough, that used to be kind of like the very high skill maneuver from Aatrox. Nowadays it doesn't really work because there's so many gap closers, there's so much mobility. Like I can't really imagine slowing. I mean, if I look at like the top champions right now, I can't do that to a Jace or really a Maokai or really a Gangplank or any of these people. Not an Ornn.
Good night, Mom.
How do you guys feel about some like Bork buffs? I feel like Bork has been just like out of the game for quite a while.
I think they should really push Cutlass and Blade of the Ruined King. At least on melee champions, it should get higher lifesteal. Getting an early buy on a Cutlass used to be such a big deal, and now it's shit. It's absolutely shit. Blade of the Ruined King also used to be a huge deal, and now it just feels so shit. I mean, especially when the 2 big items, at least for bruisers, are either focused on Trinity or Blade of the Ruined King, right? And Trinity blows Blade of the Ruined King out of the water so hard right now, they're not even comparable.
No one runs a Blade other than like maybe like some 80 carries like Vayne, but
Tryndamere.
I thought it was incredibly
Tryndamere,
shitty too when they broke the Blade and Black Cleaver synergy, where you couldn't get 2 stacks per auto. I know why they did it because of range champions, but I felt like this has been here for 4 years. Champions like Aatrox have been reliant on this, and to break it now because Lucian was using it just felt so shitty. Especially because I was right after the Aatrox rework, so here I am playing Aatrox being like, okay, Blade of the Ruined King, Black Cleaver's back, then they nerf Black Cleaver, then they nerf Blade, then they nerf the synergy between them, and I'm like, okay, did I get anything?
I'd be okay with like maybe like a melee bonus for Bork, like the on hit damage maybe. Maybe have like a little bit extra damage if you're melee compared to range.
I think what they should consider doing in all seriousness is they should push the lifesteal back to 15%. Take away the lifesteal on the proc damage, because that was dumb to begin with when they added that. But then melee champions, they get the lifesteal and the proc damage. That would very much allow champions like Aatrox and Tryndamere, especially in a world with Bramble Vest, that would allow them to deal with tanks a little bit better.
That would be good. I mean, I've been saving Blade of the Ruined King for like at least a second or third item purchase, but being able to purchase Blazer and King maybe like a first item to be able to duel early with it, I think that's the whole purpose of it. I'm just building it just because I need an item.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a shitty team fight item. It's made for dueling, but it's not really letting you duel right now at all.
Yeah, it just comes down to what I say too. You've got multiple builds with Bruisers right now. You got the Titanic Styx Trinity build, the Blader and King Titanic Styx build. At that point, you're really just doing Blader and King and Titanic and Black Cleaver, really. So you got those two builds, and then the Blader and King version is just so much weaker. First, it gives you no health for Titanic, but you know the proc, the on-hit damage is supposed to make up for that. But then it's like one of the only items in the game right now that only gives you like the damage itself. Like Trinity gives you 20% cooldown reduction in mana. Black Cleaver gives you cooldown reduction. Even Titanic Hydra gives you wave clear. Blader and King only gives you that damage. And it kind of gives you lifesteal, but it's not really enough to play around. Like nobody's using that lifesteal anymore and like sustaining waves in between trades.
I just feel like Ravenous Hydra does more damage and provides wave clear, and the only reason I build Bork is, for the attack speed, because Trinmer needs it, and then for, that active for just a little bit of extra move speed to stick on to somebody. But it just doesn't feel like enough for an item, which costs Ravenous Hydra costs what, 3,400 as well, right?
Yes, very expensive.
Yeah, if you compare the two items, Blazer and King definitely is lacking.
Yeah, I don't know what they can do with Blader and King so long as they insist on melee and ranged champions using it the same. And that's really the fundamental issue. So if they want to continue to insist on it being a ranged item, then just make an entirely new melee item. If you don't want to make an entirely new melee item, give it an added effect that only melee champions use. The end result is, in effect, the same thing,
Same dilemma with press the attack, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chinks, you owe me a soda, Hashinshin.
Get you a Diet Coke.
One love, bro, one love.
Okay, I'm trying to think of, is there anything funny that they're doing? I think that's pretty much it. Oh,
No,
well,
I think we covered.
they're nerfing lethality by 2.
Good.
They're changing the game for anyone.
No.
18 lethality instead of 20.
I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't know if it'll be impactful enough, but like you guys see like Gens or like MF just build Yumu's Duskblade, and they'll actually buy another Dirk, but they will hold it because Edge of Night is like not cost effective, and then they'll finish like IE or whatever. And we were just like back to the stupid meta where we have various Jin just stacking lethality. Yeah.
I know what Jin is there for, but he feels like a champion that only becomes viable when an abusive item comes out. Like he just kind of creeps like behind a barrel or something, peeking out. It's like, is lethality broken? Oh, okay, I'm coming back out.
He's also loving the pokey runes, so
I actually completely agree with that.
he's definitely like a very meta dependent AD carry because he's like so unique.
I don't hate his design. Like, I just want to say that so people don't get confused. I don't hate his design. I think, especially his immobility does make him kind of fun. The only issue I ever take with is, and they made that stupid video, the I am too fast video. So they'll never nerf Jin's mobility, but if there's one thing I would nerf, it would be his movement speed on crit, just because some bruisers or some champions without actual gap closers can have a difficulty with him. That's pretty much it. Okay, so if anyone has anything last to say, then.
Nope.
No.
I'm good.
Alright, well, I'm just gonna cut it there.
Perfect. Good stuff,
alright.
guys. Seriously.